Hi, this is Eric Hart. Vacuum forming plastics is a useful technique for the prop master, but unless you have a vacuum forming machine, you might not be able to take advantage of it. What is vacuum forming? In vacuum forming, you heat up a sheet of plastic until it is flexible and pliable, kind of like a sheet of fabric. You can then drape it over a shape, which is known as a buck, and when you draw all the air out, it sucks it tight against the shape, creating a skin. When the plastic cools down again, it is hard and will retain this shape, even while being hollow. This makes it great for lightweight props. For my vacuum source, I just used a shop vac that I already have in my shop. Now, a shop vac is not a very efficient source of vacuum. It only pulls between 2 and 6 inches of mercury. Most vacuum forming machines you want to pull between 18 and 26 inches of mercury. Larger shop vacs only move more air. They don't pull more vacuum, so it doesn't matter if you have a bigger one or one with more horsepower. However, for the size of the things I was making and the thickness of the plastic I was using, this one works just fine. For my heat source, I used the heat gun that I already have. Now, a heat gun, again, is not the best way to heat your plastic. It heats it up unevenly. I was only heating up sheets of plastic that were 8 inches by 8 inches. So I was able to get a pretty even heating with just a heat gun. The final component for a vacuum forming machine is a way for the plastic and the buck to be held together so a seal is created. When the vacuum is turned on, all the air between the plastic and the buck is drawn out and the hot plastic is forced against the buck. The first part of this is a platen. I created the top of my platen with a sheet of 1/2 inch MDF that I had laying around, about 9 inches by 9 inches. I drilled a series of holes in a grid. This allows an even vacuum to be pulled along the entire surface of the platen. The back is another sheet of 1/2 inch MDF, the same size. There's a single hole drilled just large enough so I could take the hose from my vacuum cleaner and force fit it in here. These two pieces are separated. I took 1/4 inch MDF and ran a ring with thin strips of MDF all around the outside of each one, thus creating a small space in the middle. Now, the plastic itself needs to be held in a frame. I took 2 pieces of Luan, cut out a square in the middle. Now, when I take my plastic, I can clamp it between these 2 frame pieces. So now, when the plastic is heated and in the frame, I could take it, lay it down over the platen, and when the frame comes in contact with the platen, it creates a seal, and the plastic is pulled tight against all of the holes. Now, professional vacuum forming systems and most DIY models build this all on a single unit. But I recently had to vacuum form just a small number of pieces, so I basically assembled my own machine from what I had laying around. So if you already have these parts, the machine is basically free. Alright, now we can begin heating the plastic. You'll notice it starts to wrinkle as it gets heated up to the point of becoming flexible. When using plastic as thin as this, you want to be careful because you can easily go from heating it up just enough to burning a hole through it. You can use your heat gun to hit the areas that have not sucked down hard enough, probably because the plastic was not soft enough and not flexible enough. Again, this is a pretty weak vacuum forming machine using an imperfect vacuum source and an imperfect heat source. Leave your vacuum on for a few minutes while the plastic cools. With the vacuum off, you could start to unclamp your frame. You can take the model out as well. You can see you have a hollow shell. Now all you have to do is trim around, maybe do some cleanup work with the hot air gun, and you have yourself the base to a candlestick phone. So there you have it, vacuum forming with things you already have around the shop. It only took me a couple hours to build the Platen, and I already had the shop vac and the heat gun. It took me another couple hours to sculpt the base. Pretty soon, I was vacuum forming a whole bunch of these candlestick phones. I like this method because you don't have to spend any money and you can start vacuum forming. You can see the possibilities that this has, and then if you really like it and you could really see yourself doing it, then you could spend more money and more time building an actual vacuum forming machine. Again, this is imperfect. It doesn't have a lot of vacuum, it doesn't heat it evenly, and you can only vacuum form small pieces of plastic and thin pieces of plastic. It's not great for every situation, but for what I was using it for, it was perfect.